The sun on the alien planet Zaratha rose like a burning gold coin in a sky that never showed clouds. The planet was known for its beautiful colors and dangerous deserts. Every morning the dunes glowed like fire, and at night they turned deep purple, as if the sand held memories of ancient times. The heat in the day was almost impossible to survive without protection. Rayan Hale, a 35-year-old human explorer from Earth, walked slowly across the endless dunes. He wore a protective suit, but even that was not enough against the heat. His face was covered with dust, and his lips were dry and cracked from thirst. Behind him, his footprints formed a long trail that the wind slowly erased. He had once been part of a research team sent to map the desert. The team traveled together in small hover vehicles. But 2 days ago, a violent sandstorm hit without warning. The storm was so strong that it tore apart groups, threw machines into the air, and made sensors useless. When Rayan opened his eyes after the storm ended, everything around him was silent. His vehicle was destroyed, and his team had disappeared behind curtains of sand. All he had were emergency supplies and hope. Now, after walking for hours and hours, his water was gone. He opened his bottle and felt only a few drops. He closed his eyes and tried to stop panic. He had trained for many missions, but this desert felt endless, and there was no shade, no trees, nothing alive. Rayan forced himself forward. He spoke to himself quietly to stay calm. He said, "Just one more hill. Maybe there is something." His voice sounded dry and weak. When he reached the top of the next dune, he saw nothing but more sand. He sighed and sat down on his knees. For a moment he thought of giving up, but then he remembered his team. They would be searching for him. If he stopped, they would never find him alive. He pushed himself up again and continued walking. The ground felt hot through his boots. Every step was heavy, and the sun burned his neck like fire. The desert wind was hot and carried fine sand that stuck to his skin. Hours passed, and the sky slowly turned a deeper gold color. He could feel the heat slowly taking away his strength. His eyes felt heavy and his breath came fast. At last, when he thought he could not move anymore, he saw something far ahead. At first it looked like a mirage, a strange shape near a group of rocks. His heart beat faster. He walked toward it slowly at first, then faster. When he reached the rocks, he saw that the object was half buried in the sand. It looked like a horn, carved from bone, long and curved, with glowing symbols running along its surface. He touched it carefully. It felt cool to his hand, which surprised him. He lifted it and felt that there was something inside. When he shook it gently, he heard liquid moving. His eyes widened. Water. It had to be water. He looked around again, searching for someone who might have dropped it. No one. The desert was silent. No footprints. Rayan hesitated. In his training, he had been told never to drink unknown liquid from alien objects. Some could be poison or dangerous chemicals, but his throat felt like it was burning. He licked his dry lips and swallowed hard. Without water, he would not live much longer. He looked again at the glowing symbols on the horn. They were beautiful shapes like waves and stars. They pulsed faintly with blue light. The horn seemed old, maybe older than anything he had ever seen. But he had no choice. He opened the narrow tip of the horn and cool liquid dripped out. It smelled clean, like fresh air. He brought it to his lips and drank. The moment the water touched his tongue, he felt relief spread through his body. He drank slowly at first, then greedily. The water tasted sweet and seemed to fill him with strength. He finished it all and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. For a moment, everything was peaceful. The air around him felt cooler, and the sand looked softer. He closed the horn and sighed with relief. He whispered, "Thank you, whoever left this." But then the wind changed. It blew cold, something completely unnatural for the desert. Rayan froze. The sand around him shifted in smooth, dark waves. And then he heard a whisper. The sound did not come from the outside. It came from inside his mind. "You took 50 years from me." Rayan's eyes widened. He stood quickly and looked around. No one was there. Only empty dunes and silent rock shapes. He backed away slowly. He thought he might be dreaming from heat and exhaustion. He whispered, "Who's there?" There was no answer at first. Then the whisper returned clearer. 50 years. You have stolen 50 years of my time." Rayan dropped the horn, shocked. He stared at it. It looked harmless, but now it felt different, dangerous. He stepped backward and tripped on the sand. He crawled away, breathing hard. He whispered, "It's just in my head. I'm tired. I'm imagining this. The whisper faded slowly like smoke disappearing in air. Rayan stayed still for a long moment listening. Nothing else happened. The desert was silent again. Slowly, calmly, he picked up the horn. He still needed to keep it. Maybe it could help him find his team. He placed the horn into a bag and continued walking. The sun had begun to set. The sky turned purple and red, painting the world with soft colors. When darkness arrived, the temperature dropped quickly and the sand felt cold. Rayan finally found shelter between two large rocks that formed a small cave. He sat inside and rested. The horn lay beside him, silent. As he rested, he felt something strange. He touched his face and realized his skin felt softer. His old small scars from past missions seemed lighter. His heartbeat felt strong and steady. He felt younger, more energetic. It was confusing but also comforting. Later that night, Rayan dreamed. In his dream, he saw a tall shadow standing over an endless desert. The shadow's eyes glowed like stars, and its voice echoed through the sand. It held out its hand toward Rayan, and in its palm were grains of sand that glowed like tiny suns. "Return what you have taken," the shadow whispered. Rayan woke suddenly, breathing fast. The night around him was quiet. He wiped sweat from his forehead and looked at the horn. It stayed still, no glow, no sound. He sighed and leaned back. Morning came with bright light. Rayan stood up and stretched his arms. His body felt strong, not weak like the day before. He climbed a dune and looked far across the desert. This time he saw movement. A group of figures traveling across the sand on strange four-legged beasts. Their clothes looked like cloaks made from long cloth, protecting them from the sun. Rayan waved his arms and shouted. The group stopped. For a moment they watched him. Then they changed direction and moved toward him. Rayan felt hope for the first time since the storm. When they reached him, the leader stepped forward, tall, with skin the color of desert stone and eyes bright like crystals. He pointed at the horn hanging from Rayan's bag, and his eyes widened with fear. He spoke in a soft voice through a translator device. "You should not carry that." Rayan frowned. "I found it. It saved my life." The leader shook his head slowly. "You do not understand. That horn belongs to the Sand Watcher. Every drink steals years from another life. The voice you heard was real." Rayan felt cold inside. He whispered, "What should I do?" The leader looked at the horizon, fear in his eyes. "You must prepare. The Sand Watcher will come. It always comes." The nomads offered Rayan water and shelter. They formed a circle of tents and lit soft lamps. As night fell, distant dunes began to move like waves. Strange whispers traveled with the wind. Rayan understood something clearly. His journey was no longer about survival. It was about facing a force older than any human record. And in the silent desert, something ancient had awakened. The desert night on Zaratha was colder than ice. The stars above shone brightly as though they were watching the planet with curious eyes. Rayan sat next to the nomad campfire, wrapped in a thick cloth provided by the desert people. The flames danced gently, giving off small sparks. The nomads were silent, watching the dunes around them as if they expected something to move at any moment. The leader of the nomads, known as Elder Savan, sat across from Rayan. His face was wrinkled like dried leaves, and his eyes glowed faint blue, almost like the symbols on the horn. He studied Rayan quietly before speaking. "You drank from the horn of time," Savan said. Rayan rubbed his hands together nervously. "I didn't know. I was dying. I had no water left." Savan nodded. "Most who drink from it do not know. It is rare for the horn to appear. That horn is connected to the Sand Watcher, the ancient guardian of time in this desert." Rayan's heart beat faster. "Why did I hear a voice?" Savan looked into the flames. "Because the water inside the horn is not normal water. It is life. Every drop carries years taken from the Sand Watcher itself. When you drank, you took 50 years of its time. It felt that loss immediately." Rayan swallowed hard. He thought about the whisper that echoed inside his mind. It felt real, cold, and angry. "What does it want now?" "Balance," Savan replied. "It will come to reclaim the stolen years." Rayan looked at the horn lying beside him. The symbols on it pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. "But how can I return something like that?" That is the difficult part, Savan answered quietly. Humans are not meant to carry the Watcher's time. The Watcher will follow the path of the horn. It is connected. The dunes will tell it where you are. Rayan looked at the dunes around the camp. They looked calm, but now he imagined eyes hiding beneath the sand. The camp was busy now. Nomads moved around, whispering to each other, checking weapons and tying ropes. They loaded supplies on their desert beasts, animal-like creatures with wide feet made for walking on sand. One young nomad named Lyra, curious and brave, approached Rayan. Her hair was tied in a long braid and she wore many small metal charms around her neck. "You are lucky," she said. "Most who drink from the horn never meet us. They wander alone until the Watcher comes." Rayan frowned. "What happens to them?" Lyra hesitated. "The desert takes them. Time takes them. They become memories lost in the sand." Her words made Rayan nervous. He didn't want to become a forgotten story. "What should I do now?" Rayan asked. Lyra looked toward Savan. "Elder will decide." Later that night, the nomads gathered in a circle. They stood around a glowing blue orb stuck into the sand. Elder Savan placed his hand on the orb, and symbols appeared in the air like floating writing. The desert wind quieted, as if listening. Savan spoke. "The Watcher is awake. It has begun moving." The orb showed images in the air, a storm forming in the far distance, sand rising like a tall wall, and a giant shadow walking inside the storm. The nomads gasped softly. "That is the Sand Watcher," Savan said. "It is slow, but it never stops." Rayan stared at the shadow. It was tall and shaped like a person, but its body flowed like sand falling through fingers. Two bright eyes glowed on its head. "We must leave before dawn," Savan said. "We will guide you to a place of ancient knowledge. There may be a way to return the years." "But what if it reaches us before then?" Rayan asked. Savan sighed. "Then we will face it. Humans are known for courage. You must not run forever." The fire crackled softly. Rayan stared into the flames, lost in thought. He felt strange inside. Not only fear, but also energy. His body felt stronger, his skin smoother. It seemed the years he took made him younger. Just before dawn, the nomads prepared to move. Rayan tied the horn to his belt, careful not to drop it. The desert beasts carried supplies, and the group began marching toward the rising purple sky. Their journey through the desert was long. The sun rose again, turning the sand golden. The nomads walked silently to save their breath. The heat returned like fire. Rayan drank small sips of water from a nomad flask. He never looked at the horn again. As they walked, Rayan noticed something strange happening to the sand. The dunes behind them shifted downwards, like something heavy was walking across them. When he turned around, he saw a distant dust cloud approaching. Lyra gasped. "It is faster than expected." "Keep moving," Savan shouted. The nomads hurried. Their beasts ran, shaking sand behind them. The wind blew harder. Rayan could hear faint whispers again. It felt like words crawling through his mind. "Return. My years." He covered his ears, but the whisper was inside his head. He stumbled, almost falling. Lyra grabbed his arm and pulled him forward. "Do not stop," she shouted. Hours passed. At last, they reached a rocky canyon with tall cliffs that gave shade. The group rested inside. Rayan sat, breathing hard. Savan pointed at him. "Show me the horn." Rayan hesitated but handed it over. The elder held it, closed his eyes, and whispered ancient words. The symbols on the horn glowed brighter. "It is stronger now," Savan said. "The more time you hold, the more power gathers." "Can you take the years out?" Rayan asked. Savan shook his head. "Only the Watcher can. But there is a way. The ancient ruins in the desert hold a device built by humans long ago when they first arrived on Zaratha. They sealed the Watcher's hunger with that device. But the seal weakens again." Rayan blinked in surprise. "Humans were here long ago?" Savan nodded. Your ancestors helped us control time. They were brave and wise. That is why the Watcher respects humans even in anger. Suddenly, the canyon shook. Sand poured down from above. A huge roar echoed. The nomads panicked, grabbing weapons. "The Watcher is here!" Lyra shouted. Everyone ran deeper into the canyon. Rayan followed, the horn shaking on his belt. The canyon walls began cracking. A giant hand made of sand rose above the cliff, grabbing at the rocks. Stones fell like rain. "Move!" Savan shouted. The group escaped into a narrow tunnel. The Watcher's large shadow tried to reach them, but the tunnel entrance collapsed behind them, blocking the way. Inside, it was dark and quiet. Rayan sat on the ground, shaking from fear. Savan placed a hand on his shoulder. "You see now, it will not stop." Rayan nodded. He felt guilt heavy in his chest. "I didn't want this. I just wanted to live." "We know," Savan said gently. "Life is precious. But we must find balance." They continued through the tunnel until it opened into a secret valley full of strange plants. It was small but beautiful. Water flowed in a silver pool. The nomads rested there, collecting fruit and filling flasks. Rayan tasted one and felt coolness spread through him. "This valley is protected," Savan explained. "The Watcher cannot enter easily here. It is a place of old magic." Rayan sat near the pool, thinking. He touched his face again. He felt younger than before. It was both a gift and a weight. Savan joined him. "You asked how to return what you took. The answer is in the ruins. We will take you there tomorrow." Rayan nodded slowly. "Will the Watcher keep chasing me?" "Yes," Savan replied. "Until balance is restored." That night Rayan dreamed again. He saw the Watcher standing in the desert holding a long hourglass. The sand inside moved upward, not downward. Its voice echoed, "Time is mine. Return what you took, or all shall age with you." Rayan woke sweating. The valley felt peaceful, but in the distance he could hear faint rumbling, like thunder behind dunes. Morning arrived softly. The nomads prepared to travel once more. The valley exit led to a path of old stone steps. As they climbed, Rayan felt nervous, but determined. The desert stretched before them again, endless and golden. Somewhere within that land waited ancient ruins, old technology, and answers. Rayan looked at his hands. They no longer shook with fear. He stood taller, feeling ready. He whispered to himself, "I'll fix this." The journey continued deeper into the unknown, and in the sand far behind them, the Watcher rose once more, its glowing eyes following the trail. Humanity's courage was about to be tested again. The desert wind grew stronger as Rayan and the nomads continued their journey. The golden dunes rolled like waves in every direction. The sun, still low in the morning sky, painted long shadows on the sand. Rayan tightened his grip on the horn hanging at his belt. Each step they took felt heavy, not only because of the heat but because of what followed behind them. Elder Savan walked ahead of the group, leaning on a long staff decorated with small crystal stones. Lyra walked beside Rayan, her eyes scanning the dunes. The beasts carried water jugs and food, but even they seemed nervous, making soft growling noises. "Do you feel it?" Lyra asked quietly. "Feel what?" Rayan replied. "The Watcher's presence," she answered. Rayan looked back. Far away, almost too far to see clearly, a large whirlwind spun slowly across the desert. It glowed faintly with gold dust. The shape inside it was tall and wide, moving with purpose. Rayan's heart dropped. "It's getting closer." "It will not rest," Lyra whispered. "It can smell time." Rayan swallowed hard and quickened his pace. As they walked deeper into the dunes, the landscape slowly changed. Strange rock pillars rose from the sand like broken towers. The air grew cooler. Tiny blue flowers clung around the stones, glowing softly, as if they held frozen moonlight. "This is the outer edge of the old world," Savan said. "Long ago, humans helped build a barrier here to control time. We follow their path." A nomad behind them lifted a small instrument and watched its readings. He frowned. The watcher is gathering energy. Suddenly, the ground trembled. The sand behind them shifted, rising like a giant wave. Everyone turned. The whirlwind had split open, and from inside stepped a massive figure. It stood twice as tall as any human. Its body was made of flowing sand, each grain glowing faint gold. Its face was smooth, with two brilliant eyes that shone like stars. The sand watcher had found them. The nomads screamed commands to one another and ran. Their beasts sprinted. Rayan followed, legs pounding against the sand. He felt a cold burst of fear shoot through his chest as the watcher let out a deep echoing sound. It was not a roar. It was a voice, broken and ancient. Return. My years. Wind blasted forward, cracking the ground. Small dunes collapsed in waves. Rayan stumbled, nearly falling. Do not look back, Savan shouted, but Rayan couldn't stop himself. He glanced over his shoulder. The watcher raised its arms, and pure desert air spun like a tornado around them. The sky darkened, and the dunes began to shift under their feet. We must reach the ruins, Lyra shouted. They will protect us. They ran toward the pillars ahead. As they got closer, ancient carvings appeared on each stone. The carvings glowed when the watcher's wind touched them, forming a protective shield. The watcher slammed its hand into the invisible barrier, sending ripples of light across the stone walls. The nomads gathered inside the ancient ring of stones. The ground inside sparkled faint silver, and their breathing slowed. The watcher pushed the barrier again, but it could not enter. It cannot step upon old-time ground, Savan explained. This place rejects it. Rayan collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. He looked up at the watcher, who pressed its glowing eyes against the barrier, staring directly at him. You took 50 years. The voice echoed in his mind like thunder. Rayan trembled. He wanted to speak, but his voice failed. The watcher lifted its hand and pointed at the horn. Return. What is mine? Then the storm slowly pulled away, shrinking into the golden horizon. Silence returned. Rayan wiped his forehead. How much time do we have? Savan listened to the wind. Not long. It is learning. Each time it grows stronger. We must reach the ruins before sunset. They continued deeper into the ancient stone forest. The carvings told stories, images, of humans standing beside alien nomads holding glowing devices. Other carvings showed a large creature made of sand being sealed inside a glowing chamber. Lyra touched the carvings gently. Long ago, humans helped us defend this desert. The Watcher once protected us, controlling the flow of time. But it grew hungry. It wanted more energy, more years. So it began stealing time? Rayan asked. Yes, Savan replied, until humans found a way to stop it. After hours of walking, they reached a massive stone gate half buried in sand. It was shaped like an hourglass. Savan placed his hand on it and the gate glowed, slowly opening. Inside was a hidden underground world. Wide stairs led downward. Cold air breathed from below. The walls glowed with soft blue crystals. They descended together, their footsteps echoing. When they reached the bottom, they entered a giant chamber with tall machines, some broken, some sleeping. The machines hummed with gentle energy. In the center stood a circular device shaped like a ring, with symbols floating above it. This, Savan whispered, is the balance engine, built long ago by humans and our ancestors. It was meant to keep time equally across the sands. Rayan walked slowly around it. At its center was a narrow slot, perfect for the horn. So this is how I give the years back? Rayan asked. Savan nodded. Yes, but the process may take your own time. It may take your youth, your strength, even your memories. Balance must be restored. Rayan shivered. He touched his face. He felt young, strong. 50 years was a lot to return. What happens if I don't return them? He asked. Lyra spoke softly. The Watcher will become unstoppable. It will drain time from everything. Plants, animals, nomads, even the desert itself. All life will become dust. Rayan looked down at his hands and clenched them tightly. Then I'll do it. I'll return what I took. Before he could act, the chamber rumbled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The nomads gasped. The Watcher found a way in, someone shouted. The ground cracked. A huge wave of sand surged downward through the tunnels. Glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. It has broken the outer seal, Savan cried. The nomads drew their weapons. Blue energy blades sparked to life. Lyra stood beside Rayan, holding a glowing spear. You must place the horn into the engine, she said. We will protect you. Rayan ran toward the center. The Watcher's sandy body pushed through the wall. The chamber filled with swirling dust. The Watcher formed arms, hands, and a tall figure. Rayan held up the horn. The Watcher froze, staring at it. Return it now, it commanded. Rayan placed the horn into the slot. The balance engine pulsed with light. Symbols lit across the chamber walls. Energy waves rolled outward. The sand pulling from the Watcher began to fall back to the ground. But then the engine flickered. It is not enough, Savan shouted. It needs your time too. Rayan hesitated. 50 years was already taken. If he gave more, who would he become? The Watcher roared, sending a blast of wind that knocked nomads back. Lyra screamed as she hit the ground. The engine requires a willing gift, Savan warned. Offer your own time, it must be equal. Rayan closed his eyes. His memories flashed. His family, his childhood on Earth, his mission, his hopes. He heard the Watchers whisper, return balance. He placed his hand onto the engine's glowing surface. Light surged through him. His skin aged in seconds. His body weakened. But then something strange happened. The engine did not take all his time. It began to share time. A blue wave spread through the chamber. Nomads stood stronger, plants above ground bloomed, and the Watcher shrank slowly, its hunger fading. The balance engine hummed louder, reshaping the flow of time. Rayan fell to the ground, breathing hard. His hair showed faint silver now, but his heart still beat strong. The chamber quieted. The Watcher knelt, smaller now, like a peaceful guardian. It spoke softly. You gave willingly. I am balanced. Then it dissolved into fine sand, drifting into the engine's core, becoming part of balance again. Lyra helped Rayan stand. You did it, she whispered. Savan bowed respectfully. You have restored the desert's time. You gave what the Watcher could not understand. Choice, kindness. Rayan smiled weakly. Humans are better when we share. Outside, the desert wind became calm and gentle. Dawn arrived with soft gold light. The desert flourished in small green patches. Rayan looked at the engine one last time. It glowed softly, peaceful once more. He had changed the desert's future. And balance, for now, had returned. The sun rose over Zaratha, spreading soft light across the desert and painting the dunes in shades of gold and purple. The air was calm, almost peaceful. For the first time since Rayan had entered this alien land, the desert felt alive. Not harsh, not dangerous, but quiet. Balanced. Life had returned to the sands. Rayan Hale sat at the edge of the hidden valley, looking out over the dunes. The horn lay on the ground beside him, dull and lifeless now. The balance engine had absorbed its power, restoring what he had taken and returning harmony to the desert. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from relief. He had survived the impossible, and he had made a choice that mattered. Lyra knelt beside him. Her dark eyes shone with respect. You gave your own time to restore the desert. The Watcher. It is no longer angry. It is at peace. She paused, looking at the distant dunes. You did not run. You did not hide. You faced it. Rayan rubbed his eyes, still feeling the after-effects of the energy flowing through him. He looked back at the balance engine, softly glowing in the morning light. I did what humans have always done, he said quietly. We survive. And we try to do the right thing. Even when it's hard. Savan, the elder of the nomads, walked slowly toward them, leaning on his staff. His long cloak swept across the sand. Rayan Hale, he said, voice strong despite his age. You remind us why humans are respected in this galaxy. You did not take what was given freely. You gave back what was taken. That is courage, Rayan nodded. He felt the weight of the desert lift from his shoulders. For days he had carried fear, exhaustion, and guilt. Now there was hope. The nomads gathered around the balance engine. Their faces reflected joy, gratitude, and cautious amazement. The desert that had once seemed empty and harsh now seemed fertile. Small plants began to sprout from the sand, glowing faintly under the sun's first rays. Water shimmered in tiny pools that had appeared as if by magic. Birds, small alien creatures with bright feathers, chirped softly from the rock formations. Life had returned. Rayan rose slowly. What now? He asked. The desert is safe, Savan replied. For now. But humans have proven something more than strength. They have proven heart. They have proven that courage and kindness can shape the future. Lyra smiled. Do you want to leave Zaratha? Go back to your team? Rayan shook his head. Not yet. I want to understand this place. I want to help it recover fully. The desert. It trusts me now. I cannot ignore that, Savan nodded approvingly. Then you will stay with us at least for a time. Learn from the sands. Learn from the Watcher. Its knowledge is ancient and now it may share it with you. As the day warmed, Rayan explored the valley. Everywhere he looked, the desert seemed different. Tiny streams ran through small canyons. Strange blue flowers glimmered among the stones. The energy from the balance engine spread outward, reaching every corner of the land. It was as if the desert itself had been reborn. While walking, Rayan noticed a faint shimmer far on the horizon. He approached and found a cluster of ruins partially buried in the sand. These were the remnants of the ancient human settlement Savan had mentioned. Crumbling walls and carved stone pillars stretched upward. The carvings showed humans and nomads working together, building machines, planting gardens, and defending the desert from chaos. Rayan ran his hand across the carvings. They were brave, he whispered, just like we try to be today. Lyra appeared behind him, holding a small device she had picked up among the ruins. This is one of the old tools, she said. It helped humans measure the flow of time and energy. They were careful. And clever. Rayan smiled faintly. They left something for us to find. They trusted the future. As the day turned to evening, the valley glowed with soft orange and purple light. The balance engine pulsed gently, keeping the desert alive and thriving. Rayan sat near it thinking. He realized how much humans had changed the galaxy. Not through force, but through courage and choices that mattered. He felt a sense of pride, not for himself alone, but for all humanity. Suddenly, the horn beside him shimmered faintly. Rayan froze. Was the Watcher returning? But no, the energy felt calm, welcoming rather than angry. The horn's glow seemed to pulse in harmony with the balance engine. It was a reminder of what had happened, of the life, energy, and courage that had shaped this moment. Rayan held the horn in his hands. He looked at it carefully, then smiled. You cannot take life by force, he said softly. You cannot steal time, but you can protect it. You can restore it. That is what matters. Night fell over Zaratha. The sky was filled with stars, brighter than anything Rayan had seen on Earth. He lay on the sand, gazing up. The desert whispered with life. The soft rustle of leaves, the trickle of water, and the faint hum of energy from the balance engine. It was alive, thriving, and peaceful. In the distance, Rayan saw faint shadows moving among the dunes. They were small, delicate, and graceful, creatures born from the desert's renewal. He smiled. Life always found a way, even in the harshest conditions. Even after danger and fear, life endured. The next morning, Rayan began his journey to explore the desert fully. Lyra and other nomads joined him, guiding him to hidden oases, caves, and ancient ruins. Everywhere the desert seemed richer, brighter, and full of promise. Small settlements of nomads celebrated quietly, offering thanks for the restoration of balance. Rayan walked carefully, listening to the desert. He could feel the energy around him. The years returned, the life renewed, and the Watcher at peace. He realized that humanity's courage and heart were stronger than any weapon, more enduring than time itself. One evening, as the twin suns of Zaratha set, painting the dunes in red and gold, Rayan returned to the valley. He sat by the balance engine, now humming softly, pulsing faint blue light across the sand. Savan joined him, smiling. You have done more than survive, Rayan. You have restored trust. You have reminded the desert, and perhaps the galaxy, why humans matter. Rayan looked out at the dunes, glimmering under the fading light. I only did what anyone would do, he said. But maybe that is the point. We choose courage over fear. We choose kindness over selfishness. That's what defines us, Savan nodded. And now the Watcher knows that too. A gentle wind blew, carrying the faint whisper of the Watcher's voice. Not angry, not demanding, but calm and almost grateful. Balance. Restored. Rayan smiled faintly. He understood now. Life was precious. Every second mattered. And courage could change even the oldest, most powerful forces in the universe. As night fully settled over the desert, the stars twinkled above. The valley glimmered softly, full of life. Rayan, now part of the desert's history and future, looked forward to a new journey, one where humanity's heart could shape worlds, restore life, and face any challenge with courage. And somewhere in the distance, the dunes whispered of the human who had given back time. A legend was born, not of conquest or war, but of bravery, wisdom, and the strength of heart. Rayan Hale, the man who restored balance, would be remembered for generations, not just by humans, but by the desert, the nomads, and even the ancient Watcher itself. The desert slept peacefully, its balance renewed. Life had returned stronger than before, and humanity's courage had proven that even in the farthest reaches of space, hope, heart, and bravery could shape the universe. The end.